The focus we have decided on for our sequence of lessons is the ways in which Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people traditionally use stories to explain the world around them. The example of this we have chosen is the story of the Rainbow Serpent, which details how Australia's rivers came to be. Learners will then be tasked with creating their own story in the same manner and sharing it with the class. The overarching objective of our sequence of lessons is to teach learners about the ways which Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people have used storytelling as a way of sharing their history and understanding the world around them. Additionally, we feel that this activity will help students of all backgrounds to better connect to their world and will propel learners toward Year 3 content descriptor, create and present shared stories, songs, and performances using familiar words and patterns and support materials. It is our hope that students participating in our lesson sequence will achieve the specified outcomes by viewing these traditional stories and discussing what it is the writer is trying to say about the world, how they do this, and why doing this may be considered important. Also important when dealing with Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander culture and properties are any protocols which may need to be adhered to. We feel that the following are relevant to our lesson: interpretation and integrity. When creating original works inspired by Indigenous or Torres Strait Islander properties, it is important that the work adheres to cultural values and customary laws, such as not showing the faces of people who may have passed away. Also important is attribution. The Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people must be given proper credit and acknowledgement for their contributions to the world and for the use of their cultural material. For example, it may be appropriate and respectful for the class to formally thank any Indigenous elders who visit their class for sharing their culture's materials with them. According to the Australian National Curriculum, Year 2 students are taught to participate in shared listening, viewing and reading of texts and responding through singing, miming, play acting, drawing, action and movement. With this in mind, we felt that the next logical step in this learning was Year 3 Achievement Standard: create and present shared stories, songs and performances using familiar words and patterns and support materials. Additionally, this task might have cross-curricular value in that the learners plan to deliver short presentations providing some key details in logical sequence. Finally, in parts 1 and 2 of this lesson sequence, learners will have viewed a traditional Indigenous story and discussed its meaning and purpose. They may also have been present for a visit from an Indigenous elder to help authenticate the experience of viewing and discussing these stories. Lesson 3 is the final lesson in our sequence, and its focus is having students share stories they have created which explain a phenomenon in their world. For example, why the sky is blue or why the sun rises and sets each morning. After sharing their story, they will be asked to explain the history or phenomena their story explains.